Yo, this is Aurelius Rosario, and this is ADP.FM. Where do I think DJ culture is these days? I think it's evolving. I think it's moving in a lot of different directions, especially with technology. But I think what's most important is that it's still moving in an important way. I think especially with regards to what it can evoke in people, what it can represent, what it can, do for communities, it can do for spaces, it can do for helping people's livelihoods get better collectively, holistically, through groups and things like that. So it's definitely changed since its inception, but ultimately I think it's still kind of, we still don't know where it's going. Like when you think about, I think with the level of technology and computers, how every 6 months there's like something brand new. It's like DJing, and someone's always going to be making music and someone's always going to have to share it. So in that way, it's still very much a constant process. It's just never going to stop. My music discovery process, it's actually a question I get asked a lot. Well, through the years, it's been through just radio promoters, a lot of people I've made friends with who've sent me music and people who put music out. Ultimately, though, I do spend a lot of time just looking for new music. I listen to a lot of radio. I listen to a lot of just DJ sets. I listen to a lot of things. So half the time when I'm listening to something, it's like, I need that song. And I want to learn something about a song too. So I'll do that. I spend a lot of time on Bandcamp, usually several hours a week on Bandcamp. And ultimately, I'm just kind of always looking for new music, I think, in just different ways. It's like there's music always happening. There's always music around. Like you could be like parked on the street somewhere and somebody will drive by playing a song that you want to, like, what's that song? So it's just like an evolving process of me just going through Bandcamp, getting music from people that want their music played on the radio. And then also as like a DJ, like there's always music you might want to keep up with that you might use in a gig at whatever, if it's like a corporate thing, if it's a club, if it's a bar. So it's just, and it's always like something like everybody has like their favorite TV shows or their favorite books or their favorite magazines, and there's something there that you're taking from. But I think of music as like, it's something that I like need to like eat it to survive. So I'm always looking for new music. So, yeah. For me, it's like become more of a ritual and a routine looking for new music. Like every week I'll spend like several hours, like usually towards the weekend, like Fridays or something, I'll go through my music for radio for the weekend. If I'm programming 4 hours of music, I have to figure out like what is it I haven't played yet? What is it that like there's new music coming out every week as well. So things like that. But I would say it's just like it's become like people go to the gym or people go to something that keeps them, who they are as a person. For me, it's just looking for new music all the time. So in terms of different sets that I like, I think the whole notion of open formats changed. I feel like for me, I like more open-minded sets, only because every place is different where you play and people are different everywhere. So I prefer stuff that people can connect to and people feel some type of visceral reaction to. Something that would I like dance music. I think that's probably one of the things that really got me into music and DJing as just radio. But I prefer anything that really connects with an audience where like you don't need to know English or you don't need to know any kind of language or you don't need to know what the music is. I think there's more fun with the surprise of it all. There's more to the world than just top 40 sometimes, but I know it is the livelihood for people, and it's also like just something almost like very American sometimes. But I don't know, I think there's so much music in the world that can be shared in so many different spaces and places, so I prefer just any space that has an open mind for things. My favorite type of set time, I don't mind opening because then I could just chill the rest of the night and party and hang out. But I do kind of like the sweet spot sometimes between like the opener and the headliner, like going second, it's like there's like the buzz where I feel like that's like the most work sometimes. Only because like there's people there and it's really on the opener to do the most of the work, So the second in line would probably be also fun and challenging because you want to keep them. You want to like hold them, stuff like that. Otherwise they might run off or something like. So peak time's great too, or like closing, but because especially you've got to be like more mindful of the situation. You have to like kind of like you're at a party and you're the DD, you know, and you have to like be good to take people home. So it's like that's how I see like the closer, like the peak time DJ. But like, you know, when getting to the party, having a drink or two, and then, you know, getting the vibe going, or that's more of my thing, like the second usually. So like after like an hour or two after doors open, the opener has to do most of the work. I feel like that's why like the art of opening is really important. And I like opening, but I think it's just it can be really interesting to be like second, just to play the second in the night, you know. It's like fun because it's like you don't know where the night could go, and it's like the opener's already played certain stuff, and then there's stuff you could play that won't necessarily be played by the headliner. But I don't know, it's like a good kind of like, I don't know, like sweet spot sometimes. Yeah, because I feel like the peak, the headliner probably has the most, like, there's probably a lot of pressure for them if the opener and the other support doesn't, you know, keep the night going. And then the closer, who knows, like sometimes the closer doesn't have anybody, so they might have already gone home after the headliner. My approach to DJing, I think it really just stems from radio, because I see DJing as an extension of radio. I think before there were DJs, people would listen to the radio. Before, like, you know, people understood what radio people were doing. You're just like queuing up music and playing it for an audience. I think the difference between like radio and DJing is that you see the people that are listening, and then other times you don't with radio. So I just feel like it's like a connection where you're really trying to connect with somebody. You're trying to like just, you know, share music that they might not normally hear. Meet them where they're at. They could be like, sometimes, because like the dance floor is like it's a very it should always be a safe space, and it should always be something that people will feel good at. So I try to bring music to meet them at that moment. And so it can also mean too, where it's like you don't know what experiences are in these spaces, so you try to make the most of it. And I just try to bring something that will, you know, that they can take away like a moment from, or like any kind of experience that will, you know, they can draw from, like affect their DNA or whatever. So yeah. With everybody listening to Spotify and DSPs, it's definitely taken the place of radio. The role of radio has changed immensely in the last like 30, 40 years. Especially technology, but I still think it's important, because the role of it is important because there's still a human element to sharing music. Like a lot of times you're not going to learn about new music unless you see a playlist, but who put that playlist together? So a lot of times there's still like a level of connection in that way. So I think radio has evolved in so many ways. I think it's really important that we should still share music openly and widely in different spaces too. I think it shouldn't always be one way. I think it can be so many different ways. I think radio is just like people listen to a lot of podcasts. That still is radio to a degree. So I feel like it's just something that is inherent to our nature. Like sound needs to be shared, you know, like people want to listen to something or they want to feel something, and usually like music is probably the easiest method. That you don't need to know any particular language, or you don't need to know anything to just hear music. So I think it's gonna keep going. It will change, obviously. There's all the nuances of like corporate radio and corporate entities, and you know, all the money involved and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, just setting something up and just having an outlet for people to hear new music is really vital to our existence. So I think I've like definitely evolved in a way where I feel like I just consume everything, but there's definitely moods sometimes. I think with my consumption of music and what I listen to, I listen mainly just for like, there's music I like listening to that I probably won't play out as so much, but there's always, you know, there's like funnels for me, I think, with like music I like listening to at home versus music I'm gonna, you know, share on the radio versus music I'm gonna play out in front of people. But a lot of times there's overlap between the three. So it varies, I think. But Yeah, I think it's just there's so much music that I consume that it can be hard to figure out like what it is I want to play on the radio versus what I want to listen to. If there's like a song I really like, I'll listen to it like 10 times and then play it once on the radio. And there probably won't be an opportunity to play it on like at a club or something like that because it's like probably some like free jazz from like the 70s or something. But you know, it's like I'll figure out a way, and I always try to make note of it. I document all the music I like, so because you never know with technology and things like that. So my inspiration to start DJing largely was just me listening to the radio. Growing up in Southern California, I listened to KCRW a lot as a kid, like in high school, and hearing them like Jason Bentley, Raul Campos, and those guys, so they would be like mixing records, and I just thought that was so cool. Just hearing them play like dance music, like house music on the radio at like 10 p.m. on a like Tuesday night. And I like that, and then just discovering music through my sister, and then just kind of seeing this whole world of like radio is the thing that wanted me to get into DJing. So from just like, you know, hearing radio, people on the radio playing music I wanted to play out. So, and like they were mixing it, so it just made me realize also like Power 106 and things like that, like the whole like just like people could do that, and it just really inspired me to want to get turntables. So that's kind of where my inspiration is. I think other inspiration even now is like the homie Lefto, whose radio show I listen to regularly. There's so many DJs, I don't know. Right now I listen to like Jossie Mitsu's show, Isco. I consume a lot of radio now just because it's easier for me to just listen to someone else doing radio, and I can get ideas and just what's the song they're playing. So, but inspiration-wise, I think a lot of it was like terrestrial radio DJs. It was like Jason Bentley, Raul Campos, Garth Trinidad. Garth didn't mix that much, but hearing like, because I would have like a notepad, and then they'd play a song, and I'd wait for them to do to back announce what they played, and I'd write down the songs, and I'd go buy the record next weekend or whatever at the store, or one of the record stores in my hometown. But I would just be listening all the time, and I'm just like, how do I like, this is crazy, like, and they mix. I just like didn't. I'd have to like understand when a song would start and, you know, get mixed into another one and things like that. It was all very much like just something that really changed my life. So yeah. Yeah, that's something I've always talked about. When you're doing radio, you're in a room and you don't know who's listening in the world. You're just there in a room playing music to yourself. Like it could be your favorite song. You don't know someone out there could be listening. Like I just have different like little scenarios in my brain about that. Where like I'm gonna play some song that's gonna make somebody pull over and cry or something like that. Or like somebody's gonna like try and call me up or whatever. But you really never know who's listening. Yeah. A perfect song to me is something where if I'm listening to like a radio show or a mix or something, and I'll just it'll be a passive experience listening, like most radio is for people. And I'll have like a visceral reaction, I'll have like a bodily reaction usually. And I've learned that's like something where you should always make note of that. And I'll like go back and be like, what is this song? And I'll have to like try to Shazam it, or then I'll have to like go back to starting it over, and I'll have to like look it up because I can't find it. And I'll like, that to me is like a perfect song, something I just become like, I need to know more. It's like a piece of knowledge that you're being shared with that you want to like put into your life. That's how a perfect song to me is. Something that makes me react a certain way, and it makes me want more of. Yo, what up? My name is Aurelius Rosario, a.k.a. Mawkus. I'm gonna play a bunch of different stuff that I've been feeling lately, stuff I haven't played out on the radio or in the club in like God knows how long. So we'll see where we go. We're gonna go all over the place. Yo, this is Aurelius Rosario, and this is All Day Play FM.